So sorrows, guilt, dependencies, expectations. So in the conjunction of the dreams of security, I believe I need this, I need to have this hobby, I need to live this, I gotta have this dream, I gotta live like this, I gotta get the place in my country, I gotta go move to another country. There's the Neptune on the chance of moving, thinking you can escape your problems here and get to a new adventure, someone else. Or you can meet someone, sometimes Neptune's the moon, because you could be running across another culture. You meet someone across cultures, across races, and suddenly you're in a different seeming world. And different beliefs, then confusions of who's believing, who's supporting or not. Belief in your habits and lifestyle, mystical memories, magnified I think the magnified feelings. So if your feelings go up and down, right? They're very fluctuating. It's the most unreliable function. You're feeling happy, you can remember happy things. You're feeling bad, you remember bad things. It changes what we remember. And I have a couple different strands. I used to think I grew up the greatest. I had nature. I swam in a river. I fished. I lived on the edge of a river. I had the greatest upbringing. But really, as soon as I think of things in the house, I had abuse. There was alcoholism. There was violence. And it was not. It was kind of horrible. I just detached in this void and went outside and played by the river whenever I could. That was for me. But the conjunction, there can be a very great creative vision that comes in, a great dedication. I'm dedicated to this. I got to go help the kids in Africa, or I got to go help this cause, or I got to help do this. And you get involved in that cause so much so you can leave your own home or family to go do that, but you had to go do it. So some great noble things can happen under Neptune, but usually there's a sorrow or confusion. There's a dream, a belief, an expectation, but it's hitting your moon, your feelings, your need for security. So usually aloof, avoiding feeling secure, or feeling overly secure where it's not real, or feeling dependent on someone, or someone's depending on you and you can't do something because they're on it. It gets complicated. That's Neptune. And you can't fix it overnight. If you're going to be blamed no matter which way it goes, it gets confusing. So this is the Neptune. The conjunction, it's opening up your lifestyle to have to go for adventure, to have to look at a new way. So temptations to bring different ideas or different feelings or live a different way comes in there. Well, you could decide to live a different way, start doing your meditation, yoga, or start painting, or start doing something different. But the husband may wonder what happened to you, or the wife may wonder, what are you doing? I don't want to do that. Right? So, or it can come from, by the time you have kids, you have an extended family, extended being. So like things can come in to affect your moon through any family member. A parent can get sick or space out or have problems, and can you help or can't you? And so you then generally scramble through the Neptune as simply as you can. But any big scheme that comes up, when Neptune's touching anything, big schemes are trouble. Whether they're positive or negative, it's gullible, and they can crash. But so really pathetic, negative, really down, depressing, negative beliefs are schemes, or lack of schemes, can also be equally dangerous. So how do you just get by? You just have to manage to get by. You try and get some simple pattern to get through this when it's happening to somebody. Our next class, we're doing case studies. We're going through what happens. We'll see how these work with all the planets working when we cut through and see all of them together, how to assess things all together. But right now, one at a time is enough. But so that happens at the conjunction. You set up this belief and you're going on this belief. You know, some people can have a double relationship for a number of years, think they go along and it works fine. Some people can leave a family or leave situations, start a new world, and sometimes a kid comes back to find you from the past, or sometimes the past comes up to haunt you. This is Neptune. Sometimes you're not living right, and great confusions, deceptions happen. So you have to be honest, simple, sincere when Neptune's hitting something. Or if you're the slightest bit deceptive or projective or unreliable or irresponsible, boy, it's going to magnify that fault. And there's going to be all sorts of complications that may take you many, many years to fix, if you can even fix them all. How do you atone for things? So in a certain way, Neptune works to get you more spiritual, to sort of almost pray your way through something. Oh God, how can I deal with this? And then depending if you relate to the noble things in your heart or your feelings, you try and find a way to solve it. But the more you're adding confusion or avoiding fixing something or maintaining a dependency, the more you're magnifying the problem. So even at the squares, the dependencies, questionable habits, confusion, gullible instincts, your feelings, your lifestyle, your feelings, your family members, your security senses, all being nothing's reliable. Well, when you're feeling unreliable or confused or lost or dependent or addicted to something, where's the willpower to stop the bad habit? You try and get away with it for that period of time. Someone's not going to normally get off the wagon while Neptune's making an aspect to their moon. Maybe they'll start to come out of it when they're tired of the pathos and it starts open, the fog starts lifting as Neptune starts getting into that 1 degree orb. But then there's a lot of damage or confusion. Then if you don't set up the guilts and you're living really simply and you just keep it simple, you don't set yourself up, you don't get brought down. But it's hard. We have our beliefs of how it should be. I can't be that simple. I have to live like this. We impose our beliefs on it to complicate the matters. We're living the way our parents thought we should live, or we're not. And I can never do. And if you don't believe in your parents and you're going against it, then they get sick. Do you help them or don't you help them? And profound long-term things that affect your memories and your psyche for many years. Certain amount of dedication is needed. Too much is a problem. Too little is a problem. And so some selfless service, some dedication, some aloofness is usually valid during these time periods. But sometimes it's not an aloofness. Sometimes it's you have to be overly dedicated and just scramble through this crazy time. Sometimes someone's sick in the family and just have to be that you're the caregiver and you're running in and helping them for no glory, but you're desperately trying to help them so that they're not left all alone. Or if you leave them alone, you're feeling guilty because you did. So whether it's a move, whether it's something with family, mom, you expect it when it hits the moon, it's going to hit these personal things. It's not going to be so much around career. It's going to be about where you're living, about your sense of security, your stability, your basic instincts, which are based on your habits. So if you've had bad habits, you're going to have questionable instincts. Or if you have good habits, you'll have very clear instincts, generally. So who lives perfectly good habits 24 hours a day for a week? Much less a year or a month. Or we fluctuate. We don't hold the standard exactly steadily. That's life. And these confusing periods come in that's life too, where we're feeling needy and it's not being met, or you want to help and someone pulls away. It's like, wow, puzzle. But it's hitting these deep feelings that are magnifying your feelings and your moods. And you're trying to be dedicated, or you can be so fanatically sure it should be like this, and someone could be just running away from that. They don't want to be blamed. If you're thinking you're always right, then everybody else is going to feel wrong. If you're feeling you're always wrong, everyone else is going to think they're right. What's clear? How do you live? Temptations come up, twists come up, and it depends on how it shows. So you don't know, you can't know what it is, but when you're doing someone's chart and you're trying to see them, you start seeing the circumstances around them, and you start anticipating, I wonder how this is going to show. And you start asking questions about the family, home, mom, things. Do you have kids, whatever? And you start seeing what the moon is, how the moon is working in their natal chart, how the moon is working in their life, and you can see, oh, there's going to be some complications coming this way. But when you go to look at your life, so the opposition, the conjunction is the one that can bring through it can bring the positive vision, but it has its guilt, potential to be fanatical too, and cause great problems too. So everything that happens has long-term effects. Long-term is to dissolve, it doesn't solve overnight. And so the opposition it's usually more having to be aware of how aloof or how different things are going than the way you feel it needs to be. So for me, I got the Neptune squaring my moon first, going through my second house, squaring it. My dad went bankrupt. I moved to a new city, started that new school. So Neptune and my son both in Libra, so it's those one after the other. When it hit the descendant, when it opposed the moon, I expanded the star center. I was elected president. I moved to a big place. I had a big center, Young and Bloor, or really Charles Street and St. Nicholas. And then had the big library, had 2,500 square feet, had 3 classrooms in it. The learning annex was using it. I was using it. It was really functional. And then they sold the building. I had to move. So then I never expected it. But 1 second here. No, this was first. I had to move to that. This was when I expanded the Star Center. I moved from a small warehouse where I had the library and I was living in it to this much bigger one at St. Nicholas and Young. And then I became president of the expanded Star Center, became the steering committee president, NCGR certified member. But I had built all those things up, but really I'm not the best manager. I had collected a lot of necessarily unreliable associations around me. So I carried it for 2 or 3 years, but I mean, I was working like crazy to maintain the rent and everything, and I really wasn't taking a salary, so I was just working, but I was maintaining an environment I wanted to believe in. I believed I belonged in, and I did it, but it made a lot of unstable relationships at the same time. But didn't have a home. I was living in a small cupboard-like space inside this library. So in one way, it's very, nobody would live like that, but I was living like that. But I was in an environment surrounded by astrology books, mystical books. It was all a learning environment. So that was, in a way, positive to me. But practically, no one, it was gullible in terms of other people coming into my life or relationships or stuff like this. And yeah, so yeah, I mean, you can make a big story of any of these things. I'm not gonna make it big around this, but it's just, I go and see those things and it lets me, so I have those things specifically written down in my in my history, in my spreadsheet history. But every time I go through this, I keep remembering other things. I'm going to have to go back and fill in a couple of things. I can make it. So I have things down, places I live, people around me. Now I have to go in and add things I was going through at those times. Like I can, oh, I was going through this at this time. Like then I can add, like, so you can add a spreadsheet for each aspect, for each planet, for its aspects, and you're really putting the whole thing together. But really, we're working with the aspects separately in these graphs, or working around visually around the chart, and we just can't remember everything at the same time when it's needed. So working with your history sheet is really useful in recapturing your history, so you remember something on everything that happens. Now, okay, I went too long last week, so I want to speed up a little bit here. Okay, so when it hits Mercury, okay, when it hits Mercury, it's your thinking. So when you get great visions from thinking, wow, they're creatively, artistically, visionary. Someone imagines Dune or imagines the Lord of the Rings or imagines Star Wars, has these great visions of how things could be. Or there's a vision of how to fix things, or how to teach, or how to reach ideas, or how to travel. Or Neptune changes the ideas, and actions will follow those thoughts. It opens up and increases the imagination incredibly. But that can make you really gullible if you're not bringing good ideas. Many people get caught in cults or visions of things that they think are real, or gambling or speculating, or if you've impaired thinking, Neptune will magnify those impairments. So at the conjunctions, you get the visionary romantic ideals, big dreams, messianic, gullible. You're visualizing things. Wow, it's conjunct. I got to do that. Oh, look at this. Oh, incredible. Well,